Hello everybody, Natalie Ross here with Naturally Radiant Wellness. In this video, I'm going to talk about 6 specific foods that can help heal your gut wall. So if you don't know me already, I'm a holistic health practitioner and I work one-on-one with individuals to get to the root of their chronic health issues. And so this specific topic is very important because if you have caught up with some of my past videos as far as gut health goes, you'll know a lot of the deeper relationships between your gut health and your overall health, and so that's why I'm tackling this subject today. So 6 perfect foods to help heal your gut wall. First one is going to be collagen. Now, collagen is technically not a food, it's a protein. But collagen itself is one of the most abundant proteins within your body. It helps to make up your tissues, your glands, your bones, your teeth. And so collagen is going to help to rebuild the very tight junctions within your small intestinal wall that have broken apart through leaky gut, through stress, through a myriad of different dietary and lifestyle factors that may have contributed to a leaky gut or some sort of systemic stress. Collagen itself is great, like I said, for bone, tissue, skin, hair, nails. But in general, when it comes to the sources of which you can find collagen, it's going to mainly be in animal products, in gelatin, in beef, in bone broth. And so when it comes to when it comes to collagen, I always recommend to really check the source as to where you're getting it from. You can always buy like a gelatin supplement, you can buy a collagen supplement, but it's very important to be aware of where the source is coming from. Where are you getting these supplements? Grass-fed, grass-finished is always top quality as well as organic. But personally, I recommend just eating a whole food, okay? Eat grass-fed beef, eat bone broth, eat gelatinous foods that are essentially providing you with not only the nutrient variety, but also with the collagen as well. You can get a collagen supplement, of course, that's always an option, but in terms of just making it a sustainable lifestyle factor, you might as well just eat a whole food instead of just supplementing with it. Now there are some quality supplements out there. I can always recommend them to you if that's something that you find yourself needing instead of having to source some grass-fed and grass-finished beef. But that's completely in your hands. If you want to do so, go for it. And I know too, there's some neighborhoods in which it's harder to get a lot of grass-fed and high-quality meat. So if that's something that you need to do, if you're looking for more of a therapeutic dose of collagen, that's always an option. Second food is going to be bone broth. So this ties in very closely with collagen. Of course, collagen is going to be within bone broth because the gelatin within bone broth itself is composed of collagen. But bone broth also supplies a myriad of amino acids, a beautiful array of amino acids that are almost perfect for healing your gut wall, for healing those tight junctions, the epithelial cells. And so what are some of those amino acids? It's going to be glycine, glucosamine, as well as L-glutamine. All 3 of these are going to help to cool the inflammation within the gut lining as well as to help to heal those tight junctions and to feed the epithelial cells with the amino acids that they need in order to resustain themselves. Okay? So bone broth is great, especially when organic and pasture raised, grass finished, grass fed. I personally love making it at home. You can do so simply by asking your local butcher or a local farmer in the area if they have any leftover beef bones or chicken bones, fish bones, chicken feet as well, I've seen. You can make them at home, throw them in your crock pot with a gallon of water and a bunch of spices and vegetables and call it a day. I usually roast mine or boil mine for about like 12 hours, 24 hours, and you can do it by batches. But the longer you let it boil, the more of a nutrient breakdown you're getting and more minerals and vitamins you're getting out of the bones. So the longer the better, in my opinion. But either way, bone broth is a delicious supplement that you can add to your diet to help to cool inflammation, to add a bunch of supplemental amino acids within your diet that you're probably not usually getting on a regular basis, as well as a lot of essential vitamins and minerals too. So the nutrient variety in bone broth is just enormous. I can make a whole video on bone broth. In fact, I've hopefully will. But either way, bone broth, great food. Number 3, going to be fermented vegetables. So fermented vegetables are wonderful because they provide a myriad of helpful bacteria for your microbiome, but they also help to provide what are called prebiotic fibers. And so, in my opinion, they're almost like the perfect dose of vegetables because you're getting so many fat-soluble vitamins that are going to be produced from your gut bacteria as you're ingesting the fermented vegetables, but you're also getting a lot of what are called either lactic acid, acetic acid, or just in general vitamins and minerals from the vegetables itself. Now, lactic acid and acetic acid are wonderful. They're also pretty prominent in apple cider vinegar as well. And what these acids do is they help to kill off some of the bad bacteria. So it's really fighting crime here, is what fermented vegetables are doing, right? They're providing us with vitamins and minerals. They're providing us with helpful bacteria. Depending on the kind of fermented vegetable that you're eating, of course, it's going to be different for everybody. And so when you're rotating these fermented vegetables, you're getting a myriad of health benefits, but you're also getting some die-off of the bad bacteria. That's some major benefits if you ask me. Now, personally for me, I love making homemade sauerkraut, but you can always buy sauerkraut from the store. You can buy kimchi from the store. You can always make your own at home. You can ferment pretty much anything, which is super fun. But I would say that if you're going to buy sauerkraut, you're going to buy kimchi from the store, be very diligent about what's in the ingredients, because oftentimes you'll find like sauerkraut in the non-refrigerated section, which is kind of very counterintuitive because the bacteria needs to live in a colder environment in order to survive and sustain itself, at least in the transportation from the store to the consumer. When you're growing the bacterium, you are letting them live in a room temperature environment, but past a certain point, you want to start refrigerating them to start cool down the proliferation process of the bacteria growing. Otherwise, it'll turn into mold. So the reason why you want to be careful when you're buying from the store is because sometimes, most of the time, if you're buying it from the non-refrigerated section, there's going to be shelf stabilizers and preservatives in there. So just be mindful as far as what's going to be in the ingredients when you are buying these from the store. And of course, if you're making it home, if you are buying it from the store, go for organic. That's always going to be the best. Next is going to be raw dairy. So raw dairy I touched on in another video about probiotics, and raw dairy is you could say a touchy subject because most wouldn't think of raw dairy as even being a food in their vocabulary. I know I didn't for the longest time. I was like, oh my God, okay, let's do this. Raw dairy is beautiful in terms of not only the vitamins and the minerals and the enzymes that you're getting from raw dairy, but also the probiotic benefits. Now, it's important to source correctly when you're buying raw dairy, of course, to ensure that the animal is properly raised, to ensure that they're fed the right nutrient variety, as well as the transportation process is going to be one that's thriving for not only the consumer, but also the quality of the milk itself. So when it comes to raw dairy, just be very careful where you're supplying yours from. I know that I personally have a local delivery service, not necessarily to the home, but to the local area, in which they gather pasture-raised meats and dairies from all over the state, and they bring them to the more collective areas for people to buy, which is great. And so I've personally tried raw dairy kefir as well as raw goat milk, and both have been awesome in terms of really supplementing my nutrient variety and allowing for the natural bacterium in the microbiome to really proliferate in a more healthful way. The enzymes within organic pasteurized dairy and even just regular pasteurized dairy, all dairy you'll find at the store, is all dead. And so when you have dead enzymes, it's going to be more energetically depleting for your body to assimilate the nutrients within the pasteurized dairy. So ultimately, raw dairy is going to be better for you than pasteurized dairy. Now, of course, organic is most important, as well as pasture-raised or grass-fed, grass-finished animals, but When it comes to the nutrient variety and the probiotic benefits, raw dairy is going to outbeat them all. And then next is going to be kefir, as well as fermented dairy. So kefir is a little bit different than fermented dairy. Kefir is going to be a little bit more liquid in consistency and has a little bit more of a bacterial variety than fermented dairy does. So Greek yogurt, regular yogurt. Another aspect of that too is that when you're buying pasteurized yogurt from the store, you still have the counteractivity of the enzymes within the dairy itself being dead. So essentially what happened in the fermentation process is that they started to ferment dead enzymes, if that makes sense. So they're still fermenting the sugars within the dairy. However, you're not getting the entire variety of enzymes and bacteria that you would get from raw dairy kefir. Now, kefir in general is just amazing in terms of its bacterial variety, as well as the potency of the way in which it'll re-inoculate your microbiome. So that's going to be an amazing opportunity if you do find a quality kefir to buy. And of course, looking from the source, looking from the way in which the animal is raised and what the animal is fed is really important, especially if you have like an allergy of any kind, if you have a food intolerance of any kind. Those are going to be some important things to pay attention to. But raw dairy kefir is great. Same with fermented dairy, but as I said earlier, it's important to pay attention to not only the source of where the animal is coming from, the quality of the animal, but also if it was raw or pasteurized. Raw is always going to be better than pasteurized. So lastly is going to be miso. So miso and fermented soy. Now, miso is fermented soy. However, it's going to be, in my opinion, one of the only ways in which we can healthfully consume soy. Soy itself has gotten to a point where it's such a massively produced crop in the world that the way in which that we can identify organic soy versus inorganic soy is very tough to really truthfully display to the consumer. And so for that reason, a lot of us are intolerant to soy because we've taken in so many different kinds of soy, either it be inorganic or organic, that our bodies have developed an intolerance to it. Now, if you're not intolerant to soy, awesome, good for you. I'm just saying that in general, soy is going to be a very common allergen for that reason, because of the crossing between organic soy and inorganic soy, and it's starting to disrupt our microbiome, disrupt our immune response to that specific food. And so when it comes to miso, miso is going to be a great way to take in soy without the issues of soy being a disruptor to your gut microbiome itself. And that is because of the not only the nutrient variety within miso itself, but also the fermentation process of miso helps to break down some of the destructive aspects of the soy that would have originally been disrupting to your gut wall, as well as your microbiome in general. So that was six fermented foods for you. I hope that that is helpful. Not fermented foods. 6 foods to help to rebuild your gut wall. That's what it was. I just made a video on probiotics, so I'm getting confused here. Either way, those 6 foods are going to really help to rebuild your gut wall, because they're going to re-inoculate either your microbiome, which is going to help build up your immune system, as well as to help to rebuild the mucosal lining along your intestinal tract, which will help to soothe inflammation. Some of these foods are also going to provide you essential nutrients, essential amino acids to help to rebuild the epithelial cells. Oh, you know what? I forgot one food. Forgot butter. Butter and ghee. These are really important. So butter and ghee are saturated fats. They're short-chain fatty acids, and short-chain fatty acids directly feed your gut bacteria. This kind of goes back to the prebiotic instance of the fermented vegetables. So when you take in butter and you take in ghee, butyric acid is part of the nutrient variety that you're getting along with the fat-soluble minerals, the fat-soluble vitamins. Now, butyric acid directly feeds gut bacteria, and that's not only positive for you to start to re-inoculate your microbiome and help to eradicate the bad bacteria, but it will also help to alleviate systemic inflammation within the gut wall itself. So, okay, tying this all together. We have first collagen, bone broth, fermented vegetables, raw dairy, kefir, miso, and butter and ghee. So, all those 6 foods are going to help to heal your gut wall. I really hope that helps you. And if you do start to supplement your diet with any of these foods, I do recommend not using them every day, of course, because we are trying to rebuild the really thin lining of those epithelial cells within your small intestine. And so it's important to make sure that we're not overwhelming the immune system with the same foods every single day. All right, cool. So I hope that ties together the video for you. 6 foods, healing your gut wall. This is essential. Make sure to pay attention and just be mindful about what you're eating and how you're eating, because stress, of course, is going to be one of the main foundational roles to play in terms of causing systemic inflammation, causing a gut dysbiosis, causing gut inflammation, causing leaky gut. So ultimately, you can make a lot of dietary changes, but lifestyle has a huge factor to play as well. So I hope this helps you. I hope that you get something out of this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.